Okay.
Yeah.
Now, the Paget messages, you talk about them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They've had a big influence on you. Or, now they claim to be, correct me if I'm wrong, they claim to be automatic writing,
Mm-hmm.
messages passed from yourself in the spirit world.
Mm.
Is that correct?
That's
In
correct.
about 1920.
In between 1914 and 1920.
And
Okay.
not
Not just from
just
me,
from you, from many
but from a
others.
lot of our
Yeah.
friends as well in the spirit world.
So, can you
So-
explain what automatic writing is and this channeling business that a lot of people don't quite understand or have any knowledge of?
Sure.
So channeling is really just as you and I are having a conversation, it's the ability to have a similar conversation with someone who's lost their physical body and is now in a spirit form. And so that can occur with anyone in the spirit world. We began to talk about the different levels that exist in the spirit world earlier. So anywhere from this first sphere or realm, which is a lower condition of love, then say that 7th or 8th sphere, which is the transition where we become at one with God, if you like, all the way into the celestial heavens, which are all the spheres beyond there. So the process of channeling is having a communication with spirits in one of those realms.
And do you still currently do that?
Mm.
And how often do you do this?
All day, most days.
All day, every day?
Yeah, well, while we're sitting here, there are spirits involved in our conversation. There's spirits influencing even your questions, and they even influenced you writing down the questions that you had. And there's a lot of spirits involved in terms of next to each person, in terms of guiding each person, but there's also other spirits who want to influence people negatively. And in the first century, I recognised and saw that quite early in my life, and I wasn't impeded as most people were by being blocked to those particular interactions with the spirit world. And my friend John the Baptist, he also had a strong feeling for spirits, and he could see spirits as well. And so that meant that we could, myself and John, we're only 6 months apart in terms of age, we could often talk to spirits when Mum and our parents weren't around, and so we often learnt a lot through that process. And for me, that's when it began. For Mary, it began in the first century as well, like that, where she recognised communication with spirits.
But I was certainly under the influence of a lot of spirits without recognition for a long time as well. And that is the reality for just about all of us on the planet at the moment.
Positive or negative?
Both. At all times, and well, at the majority of times, yeah.
Now, there's a since the New Age movement began, there's been a lot of people claiming to have channeled a lot of historical figures, and you say that a lot of these people have been deceived because we really don't know who's behind the curtain, do we? It's, they say there's somebody, but
unless you can physically see them and also feel their
discern from a place of
feel
love.
the love in the person that you're speaking to.
So how do you discern what you're communicating with?
Well, a lot of the people we communicate with are people we knew on Earth in the first century. So, they're people who have been with us most of our lives for 2,000 years. So, for that reason, we know them very well and we know who we're talking to. For others, it's a matter of testing the spirits that come to speak. So the way that you do that is by asking them things about their life and asking them to describe their life on Earth and talk to them about their individual circumstances. And in many cases, you can verify the person's life, when they were on Earth at least, and verify when they die without actually after the event of talking to them. So you can easily see whether they were a person lying about those events or not.
I would say there's more to it for me. Did you want
No, keep going.
For myself, it requires a level of emotional openness to what it is I'm feeling, and a dedication to my own growth in love. The more that I feel I can be discerning about my own emotional condition and what is truly loving, and feel with honesty the emotions that are within me, the more I feel I can do that with you and also with the spirits involved. So I'm not sure if that's probably a fairly foreign concept to most people, but I feel that if I'm in connection with what it is I'm really feeling, not afraid to feel what that is, then when I'm sitting with you, I'll also be open to what you feel. Because most of the time, the thing that blocks me being open to what you feel is something that's going to be triggered in me when I feel what you feel. Is that... Yeah, and equally, I have the same experience with spirits. And so if a spirit comes to me full of rage and anger, and I can feel that, and then they try and tell me they're from a sphere that's quite developed in love, I immediately know that there's a untruth being spoken.
Also, if I can just address the other part of the question that you asked, and that is, why is it that they're always famous people, people who are channeling? And that is a very, very interesting question. And the main answer to that is the fact that the person on earth wants it to be a famous person that they're channeling. And so therefore they are open to suggestion by anybody that, so it's a bit like if you couldn't see me and I came along to you and said, oh, I'm a famous person that, I thought would appeal to you, and you wanted to believe that, you would just probably accept it, and then we'd have a talk on the basis of me being that famous person. Over a period of time, if you were open to my feelings and you started questioning me in more detail, you'd soon find out probably whether I'm speaking the truth or not over a period of time. The problem is that most mediums on the planet are not open to doing that because they want every single person who comes to them to be a famous person in history, and there's billions of people who have never been famous on Earth but who are surrounding the Earth constantly and who want to have their moment of fame. And so it's quite easy for them then to just falsify their, their identity and have a connection.
People in spirit are really people in spirit often. They haven't changed much from when they were on Earth. And
and if they can falsify something and get away with it, they will.